everyone. This is the House of Seven Beggars Synagogue. And this is Kinder News with Zeyde for Yom Revi'i. I am your announcer, Rabbi Ariel Nachman Ben Chaim. And now, here is the news with Zeyde.
Erev Tov, and welcome to the House of Seven Beggars Synagogue. It is 8 p.m. here on the east coast of the United States, here in the diaspora. And it is Yom Shelishi, the 26th day of the month of Sivan, in the year 5773 from creation, or Tuesday, June 4th, 2013, and this is Kinder News with Zeyde. I am your host, Zeyde Ben Ari, and here is the news. Mazel Tov, Arvid Mahakali, and this is from the New York Times. Arvind, an 8th grader from Nathaniel Hawthorne Middle School, won the nationally televised spelling bee contest on Thursday night by spelling Knedel, a Yiddish term of German origin meaning dumpling. Straight face through most of the bee. Arvind broke into a wry grin when he heard the etymology of the last word. You see, the 2 previous years, he had been knocked out by German words at the finish, and he finished 3rd. Hoisting the trophy, Arvind said, "The German curse has been turned into a German blessing." Asked about the significance of the victory in his final year of eligibility, he said, "It means that I am retiring on a good note." If one can retire at 13, that is. It also means he will get $30,000 cash and a $2,500 savings bond. Deaf-mute children's prayers heard. This is from Ynet. This is a wonderful story. Thanks to a new halachic ruling, bar mitzvah boys who can't hear or speak may now read from the Torah just like their friends. For decades, deaf-mute bar mitzvah boys have not been called up to read from the Torah due to their disability. Now, following a new halachic issued by Chief Rabbi Yonah Metzger, these boys will be able to celebrate their coming of age just like their friends. According to the halakha, people called up to read from the Torah must say the blessing out loud, which is impossible for those who cannot hear or speak. This situation caused a lot of distress for deaf-mute bar mitzvah boys, who have been praying for a solution. Chabad-affiliated association lend a hand to a special kid which helps children from Hadavir HaChadash school in Yerushalayim celebrate their bar mitzvah, asked Rabbi Metzger to find a solution for their distress. The rabbi came up with an original idea. The boys will say the blessing in sign language, which someone in the audience will read the blessing out loud at the same time. The audience will hear the blessing and they will be able to respond with Amen. Rabbi Metzger recently visited the special care school with the association's chairman, Rabbi Mendy Bilnitsky. One of the students, Yitzhak Banzek thanked him excitedly for his initiative. Oh, isn't that wonderful? And now, for the weather in Israel. Starting in the north, Haifa will be a very nice week. The high for the week occurred on Sunday with a daytime high of 95 degrees. That's Fahrenheit for all you Canadian people out there. And the daytime low on Tuesday and Wednesday of 80 degrees. The overnight high was on Sunday with 72 degrees and the low on Monday of 67. In Jerusalem this week, the high for the week occurred on Sunday with a daytime high of 95 degrees and the daytime low on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of 81. The overnight high was on Sunday with 71 degrees and the low on Wednesday of 58. And for the south this week, in Be'er Sheva, the high for the week occurred on Sunday with a daytime high of 95 degrees and the daytime low on Tuesday and Wednesday of 86. The overnight high was on Sunday with 74 degrees and a low on Tuesday and Wednesday of 63 degrees. All of Israel had a 0% chance for rain this week. Winds will be mainly out of the west at 7 to 15 miles per hour. So, a beautiful week for all of Israel to get out and play. And now, it is time for This Week in Jewish History for the week of 24 Sivan 5773 from creation. And this is from Chabad. Monday, the 25th of Sivan. Jews debate before Alexander the Great in 313 BCE. Today is the Jewish victory in public debate against the Ishmaelites, Canaanites, and Egyptians before Alexander the Great. And you can read all the details about it in the Talmud in Megillat Ta'anit, Folio 3. And also on this day, 3 of the 10 martyrs killed in the 2nd century of the current era, among the millions of Jews cruelly killed by the Romans, were the 10 martyrs, all of them great sages and leaders of Israel, and they are memorialized in a special prayer that is recited on Yom Kippur. 3 of them, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabbi Yismael ben Elisha, and Rabbi Hanina Sagan HaKohanim, were killed on Sivan 25. Wednesday, the 27th of Sivan, Rabbi Hananiah ben Tredion, killed in the 2nd century of the current era. On this date, Rabbi Hananiah ben Tredion, one of the 10 martyrs, was killed on this date. When the Romans discovered him teaching the outlawed Torah, they wrapped him in a scroll, a Torah scroll, piled bundles of twigs around him, and before setting him afire, they placed damp woolen cloths on him to prolong his agony of being burned to death. As the flames engulfed him, his disciples asked him, "Master, what do you see?" Rabbi Hananiah replied, "I see a scroll burning, but the letters are flying up to heaven." Friday, the 29th of Sivan. spies dispatched in 1312 BCE. Moshe dispatched the 12 spies to tour the Holy Land in preparation for the conquest by the people of Israel, just as we read in last week's Torah portion. And finally, Shabbat, Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. The parsha this week is Parsha Korach, Numbers chapter 16, verse 1 to chapter 18, verse 32. And here is what is happening in the parsha. Korach tries to take command of Israel by challenging Moshe's leadership and the granting of the kahuna, the priesthood, to Aharon. He is also joined by Dathan and Abiram. Joining them are 250 distinguished members of the community who offer the sacred ketoret, incense, to prove their worthiness for the priesthood. The earth opens up and swallows them, and the fire consumes the ketoret offerers. After that, a plague begins and is stopped by Aharon's offering of ketoret. Aharon's staff miraculously blossoms and brings forth almonds to prove that his designation as high priest is divinely ordained. God commands that the terumah, the uplifting, from each crop of grain, wine, and oil, as well as all firstborn sheep and cattle, and other specified gifts, be given to the Kohanim, the priests. And the Haftorah this week comes from 1 Samuel chapter 11, verse 14, through chapter 12, verse 22. And now it is time for our cartoon. This is a cartoon I picked out for my special friend Gadi Edelman. It is called The Mouse of Tomorrow.
Here I come to save the day, get the situation well in hand.
Here, in the quiet of the countryside, is the quaint little village where our story begins. Now, in this quaint little village, there lives a large population of cats. There are big cats and little cats, fat cats and thin cats, white cats and black cats, alley cats and house cats. Notice how each cat is watching his own little mouse hole, for in each little mouse hole lives a little mouse. Right in the center of this quaint little village is a great big clock. One day, just as the clock struck 1, the mice make a break for liberty. one little fellow breaks loose. Down the road he dashes. Now the cat is after him, faster and faster. Nearer comes the cat, and just in the nick of time, he makes it. He's escaped the cat. But where is he? What kind of place is this? It's gigantic. It's colossal. It's stupendous. Why, it's a supermarket. He bathes in super soap. He eats super soup. He chews on super celery. He dines on super cheese. And behold, Mighty Mouse! Realizing that he has a job to do, with a powerful leap, he launches himself skyward. He increases his speed so that his pacing was that of light itself. What a mouse! What a mouse! So ends the adventure of the Mouse of Tomorrow. He's seen his duty, and he's done it.
Get the situation well in hand.
And now, back to the news. Oklahoma tornado relief. And this is from, and I want to make sure I say the name right, Chabad Community Center for Jewish Life and Learning in Oklahoma. Oklahoma legislature lauds Jewish tornado assistance, showing its gratitude for the immediate and ongoing support and assistance offered by Jewish groups and individuals from around the country. The Oklahoma House of Representatives gave a standing ovation to Rabbi Obadiah Goldman, co-director of the Chabad Community Center of Southern Oklahoma, and New York State Assemblyman Philip Goldfeder. Introduced by Oklahoma legislator Paul Wesselhoff, Goldman and Goldfeder were called to the podium and thanked for the collective efforts which are continuing daily. As soon as the tornado struck, the Chabad Community Center of Southern Oklahoma opened its doors and has been collecting and distributing food, supplies, and funds to assist those devastated by the tornado that sped through parts of Oklahoma City and its suburbs Monday afternoon, killing 24 and causing widespread destruction. Chabad Center staff and rabbinic interns continue to visit the impacted areas throughout the day and night, giving both material and moral support to those who have suffered devastating losses. The response has been overwhelming, Goldman said earlier, adding that calls have come in from individuals and organizations in New York, Ohio, Iowa, Illinois, and California, and even from abroad. And they have been accompanied with kind words and offers of help in any way they can. Oklahoma legislature Paul Wesselhoff introduces New York State Assemblyman Philip Goldfeder and Rabbi Obadiah Goldman to the Oklahoma House of Representatives. And that's especially meaningful, he said, because the community that was hit is facing some short-term real needs, and they're going to be facing longer-term needs as well. The rabbi emphasized that 100% of all disaster relief donations will be provided to those in need. Members of our local community have come forward and will cover all the administrative costs for us so that anyone wishing to help those struck by the disaster can know that everything they give goes to those affected. Please, there is still so much to do. So, anyone interested in making a donation can do so at the Chabad Disaster Relief website, which we will be showing here right now. And finally, from Arut Sheva, Israeli government plans 80,000 housing units. How wonderful. The finance ministry published the government's housing plan for 2013 and 2014 Wednesday evening. The multi-year plan calls for improvement of coordination between official agencies, enlarging the stock of housing plans, especially in the areas where there is high demand, and for a policy of urban renewal. The plan calls for at least 80,000 new housing units to be made available by the end of 2014, and for marketing of plots for construction of at least 25,000 units annually. The districts of Tel Aviv, Yerushalayim, Haifa, and Ashkelon will be defined as areas that are in high demand, in which the state will market land for the sale of about 15,000 housing units per year. This is very good. And the more they build, the more our people can come home. And that is very good. And that, my kinderlach, is not only the news for this week, but this is the end of the news for this summer. We will be back right after the High Holy Days, and we hope that you will join us then. For the House of Seven Beggars Synagogue, the Rabbi, and myself, Laila Tov, have a good summer, and good night!